Hello, my name is Carmen Griffin. I'm one of the guidance counselors at Nipher Middle School, school in the Kirkwood School District in St. Louis, Missouri. This year I am the 6th grade guidance counselor. The first question is, what are you responsible for, or what is your role in the school? So as a guidance counselor, I have many responsibilities. We assist with transitional meetings when students come from 5th grade to come into the middle school, because this is a whole new environment for them. It's usually the first time that they have multiple teachers in their schedule. And so we work during the summer to create schedules for those students based on their needs. So there are some students that may need intervention classes or that may need extra help in a class, like for math or reading support. And then there are other students who are testing well above their grade level, and so we have to have accelerated courses in the classes for those students as well. So it just depends on what the students' needs are, and we get that information from their teachers, their 5th grade teachers and guidance counselors, so that we can plan their schedules for 6th grade. We have a 6th grade schedule pickup day right before school starts, and we have the 6th graders come. They will get their locker combination and their number, and they're able to play with figuring out their combination and how to open it. They're able to get their schedule and walk around and find where their classes are. And they'll have the opportunity to meet their teachers to find out what they will learn for the 6th grade school year. We also have students that sometimes need individual counseling. So if there's some kind of social emotional support that they need, we're able to offer them like brief counseling to help them with the situation. But if they need more long-term counseling, then we have resources where we can refer them out in the community to get them like an ongoing therapist or a psychologist, and usually we'll collaborate with that person to let them know how they're performing in school and if their teachers have any concerns. We're also able to refer families if they need any type of social work support, because we have families that may be homeless or that may need help with food or medical needs, and so I'm able to refer them to those resources as well. We also, once a week, get with our administrative team and we look at the data for students, and we determine if they're in the appropriate classes or if we need to change their schedule to help them perform better in school. We're also helping them to just become better citizens, so preparing them to be adults. So we want them to start thinking about career exploration and what they see themselves doing once they're through with middle school and high school, if they're choosing to go to college or enroll in the military, or what would they like to do, join the world of work. So just start exploring their strengths and what their interests are, so hopefully they can find a job that they enjoy doing one day. What are the programs or activities you present for students? Like we talked about with the career planning, definitely by 8th grade, they will start meeting with people in different industries in the world of work to see how did that person get that job, what type of education did they need to get into that role, and how they can go about taking classes at school to help them get that job that they're interested in. We also, in 6th grade, we have a class that every 6th grader must take. It's called Middle School Connections. And in the Middle School Connections class is where we teach our anti-bullying curriculum, which is the Alveus program, and SUP, which is students standing and speaking up for other students. So that's like a program to empower students that may be bystanders or that know of somebody that's being bullied. We're encouraging them not to stay silent, to speak up and to try to help that person by telling an adult, telling their parent, and then we can get that child some help so that they're not being bullied, as well as giving the individual that's doing the bullying some help trying to figure out why they're behaving that way, and giving them some tools to help them be more kind and compassionate to their classmates. And it helps them kind of do team building activities to help them get to know their classmates, because we have students that come from 3 different elementary schools to Nipher Middle School. So sometimes you may be in a class with a student that you don't know anything about. So we do team building activities in the Middle School Connections class to help them get to know each other and to build those friendships. Within the counseling role, we also do that with families as well. We have like a parent information night, because a lot of times parents are nervous about the difference from elementary school. Like a lot of times their child may have only had one teacher during, like maybe for 5th grade, and then by the time they get here they may have 6 or 7 different teachers. So we help answer parent questions as well about how the curriculum is going to be different here as well for parents. So we have like an information night where they can come and kind of go through their child's schedule and meet teachers, and they can answer any questions that they might have about the middle school experience as well. Do you have a role or support for students who have learning difficulties? We do. We have what we call intervention classes. So if we look at the data based on different assessments that students have taken, and if we notice that they're scoring below the anticipated grade level, it could be in reading or in math, then we'll put in a class into their schedule where they can get that additional math or reading support. If that is not sufficient for a student, if a student's been in there for a while and they're still not making progress, then we'll look at, with the teachers on that child's team, we'll look at if that student should be looked at for a special school district referral because they may have a learning disability that's impairing them from meeting their goals or reading at grade level. So the guidance counselor is responsible for filling out that packet along with the parent, and we have a school psychologist who will review all of that data and start the testing process if they determine that it's warranted that that child may have a learning disability. And once that is determined if they have a learning disability or not, then their schedule will be changed to adjust for whatever needs. If they have like a reading disability, then we'll adjust their schedule to put in a reading support class. If it's a math support that they need, then we'll change their schedule so we can add in that extra math support. And then each year we'll review their progress and see if they're making progress with the new schedule, which hopefully they are. Do you have to communicate with parents? Yes, we communicate with parents all the time. It could be, sometimes there's parent meetings where parents may have concerns about their child's academics, because a lot of times middle school for our parents' children looks different than for when our parents were in middle school. Like our parents didn't have iPads when they were in middle school, so that's different for them. Sometimes the math looks different for parents than what they learned in school. So we'll have parent meetings to help them with strategies on how they can support their child, because a lot of times they're trying to find ways to help them be successful. Sometimes they may ask their child, well, what did you learn in school today, or how was school today? It was fine, it was okay. And that doesn't really tell what their child learned in school today. So we have where the parents can access what is going on in their child's class through a website called Schoology. And the teachers provide weekly updates on if there's a test in their class, if there's a homework assignment that the child should be working on. They try to let the parents know in enough time so that the students have time to work on that assignment and get it in by the deadline. Sometimes parents request a parent meeting, and like if there's even like social emotional concerns with their son or daughter as well. And so we get together with the child's teachers and kind of brainstorm how we can help whatever issue the parents may be having or their student may be having, and we'll problem solve and come up with strategies to help that situation. I have parents that email me as well, and sometimes it could be things just like, my child had a rough morning, or they're disorganized, or they lost their homework. Can you let the teachers know, or can you help with this, or can you check on my son or daughter throughout the day? And I'm able to do that. If I don't check on them like during the contact time, which is like their homeroom class, I can check on them like during lunchtime so that they're not missing any class time coming to talk with me. But sometimes students have to miss class time to come and talk with me if it's like a crisis or an emergency type of situation that I need to follow up with them on. Then they'll come in and hopefully get them in a better place before we send them back to class so that they can focus on their schoolwork. But I consider my parents like a big part of our collaborative team. I feel like the parents know their child best, so a lot of times they know their strengths and weaknesses, and they're able to share that with us as a team to help us have that team approach and helping their child be successful at school. Do I have any roles or activities outside of school? Well, there are some responsibilities or expectations that the guidance counselor performs that's not necessarily a guidance counselor role within my role. So some people may see me with a stop sign at the crosswalk because at the end of the day, when students are leaving, our students that walk home after school, I'm making sure that they can safely cross the street with all the cars that are coming in and off the lot to pick up students, so I get them across the street. I also have morning duty where I'm in the cafeteria in the morning where all the sixth graders come in and sit down before the first bell rings. Because when they get off the school bus and they come in the cafeteria, there's a probably about 10 minutes or so that they're waiting before the bell rings, and so to keep students from just wandering the building being unsupervised, we have all the 6th graders come into the cafeteria, and the 7th graders are in one gym and the 8th graders are in another gym, and we have guidance counselors and teachers in each of those locations, just making sure everybody's being safe and polite until the bell rings. And then 3 days a week I have lunch duty during 6th grade lunch duty, and I kind of like that time because it's like an unstructured time outside of the classroom where I get to see students kind of relax and be themselves, and it's helpful for me to kind of watch them interact with their peers and to kind of see who their friends are, and if they're being kind to each other, and just to see them in that unstructured setting, to get to know them as a person. So I actually enjoy seeing them during lunch sometimes, and sometimes I take my lunch down there and eat with them as well. So it's a good way to get to know the child and what their interests are outside of the classroom. A lot of times that's where I'm able to learn what students do, like on the weekend, or if they're on some athletic team or something like that. And they really seem to appreciate having a teacher connect with them on a level that's outside of the classroom. And I think that's it.